Hello everybody, I am going to do a video today about the devil, and it's a very interesting subject because a lot of the times we hear this whole real witches don't worship the devil, and real witches don't worship the devil's a Christian concept, and stuff like this. And so I want to go a little bit deeper into this and actually talk about the history and folklore, some history and folklore in regards to the devil. Now, real witches do worship the devil, and I know witches that even work satanically, as in worship and work with the Christian concept of the devil. You have to understand that paganism has this idea that it owns witchcraft. Well, people tend to think that paganism owns witchcraft. Newsflash, it doesn't. There are loads of other different cultures and different concepts of witchcraft across the globe. And guess what? Most of them aren't pagan. So paganism doesn't own witchcraft. Witchcraft isn't owned. So if you're going to turn around and say real witches don't worship the devil, well, what kind of witch? Because some witches do, and I know some witches do worship the devil. Now you see this this thing that happens a lot of the time in traditional witchcraft, and we will call the horned one, or Old Horny as he is known, and that's a witch trial name, and we will call him the devil. Now a lot of people automatically will think this is the concept of Satan, the Christian devil. Well, 9 times out of 10 it's not. However, there are some traditional witches that will worship Satan and worship that satanic aspect there, and I know a couple online, but I do know a couple that do. Most of the time, though, when we talk about the idea of the devil in a lot of traditional witchcraft, we actually talk about the idea of a fairy figure. A lot of fairies were known as devils, and a lot of lords of Fae, or kings of Fae, were called devils. For instance, Robin Goodfellow was named the witch's god, but he was also called a devil, and he was also called a fairy. So there was this big crossover between the Fae and the idea of the devil. The folkloric devil is very different from the satanic devil, because the folkloric devil has a lot of references with the dead and with the Fae. Rather, the Christian devil just has demons and hellfire and stuff like that. So what's interesting is that this idea of the devil, you have to remember, a lot of the time, most traditional witches will work from not all, because I know you are also different out there, but most people will work from a pagan perspective. Most traditional witches that follow the type of stuff that I do, most of them, as I said before, paganism doesn't own witchcraft, so it's not entirely true. Most of them will work within a pagan perspective or a pagan outline of their practice and apply that. You have to remember this idea of good and bad, the idea of good and evil, is a very Abrahamic belief. It's a very Abrahamic idea. It's not an idea that, before Abrahamic beliefs, it wasn't really an idea. The idea of good and evil didn't really exist. It was more an idea and concept of neutrality. Everything was grey rather than black or white or good and bad. And that's what I actually forgot to put in my black magic and white magic video. But it's a very Christian idea. It's a very Abrahamic belief, and I much love. It's from the TV series Salem, and Mary Sibley says something along the lines of this. And although it's from a TV series, it really resonated with me in the way that I personally see the world. And she said, this world, the flesh, the earth, is not black and white like in a Puritan suit. All is grey. The devil they fear is not the devil I know. And I really love that idea. And it's very much it's very much stating the fact that life isn't good or bad. It's not one extreme or the other. Things can be neutral, and that applies to spiritual beings. All is neutral. You can work with something that could be quite nasty and could do damage and could be a little bit evil, but it'll still have that capacity to do good, that capacity to do a benevolent act towards you or towards others. So this idea of the folkloric devil, the Christians, I feel bad saying that, the church, basically demonized the pagan god Pan and put him and identified him as the devil. So there's this idea that the Christian concept of the devil is taken from much older pagan roots, and I think if anybody disagrees with that, you're stupid and you need to do a little bit of research, because a lot of aspects of paganism were brought into Christianity and other beliefs, and the devil. Look at a picture of a Christian depiction of the devil, and then look at Canunus or Pan or Hern. This very much fits in to the aesthetics of what Christianity perceived the devil to look like. And so, there's the idea of that. The idea that the devil in folkloric witchcraft, in traditional witchcraft, represents freedom. He represents that wildness, that feral side within, that side that most people don't come into contact with day to day. We're also caught up in this rush and go, and I have to pay this, I have to do that, and we don't. Not a lot of people Not a lot of people properly connect to that feral, to that wild side, that animalistic side within us all. And that's what the devil represents. The horns, the goat feet, and then a human body, a human face. He is that perfect representation of man in unity with the wild aspect, with man embracing the wild. It's very much that feral power, that feral energy. It's a perfect union betwixt man and nature. And a lot of people will be like, oh, it's very light-hearted. And no, nature isn't always light-hearted. Again, nature is neutral. There are things that happen in nature that are absolutely horrible and horrific. There are things that happen in nature that are gorgeous and stunning. Nature just is. And this is what the devil is. The devil just is. He isn't good, he isn't bad, he is neutral. He is that raw primal force within us that stirs within you. He's that fire, he's that passionate side, that animalistic side. Very sexy. No, but he's very much that stirring within us. A lot of folk fairies were identified with the devil. Gwyneth Nud, Robin Goodfellow, Old Janicot. A lot of witches referred to the witch goddess Old Horny within the witch trials. Have a look at the witch trials, have a look at history. Witches have worked with the devil. Now, this might not be the Christian devil. Some cases it was as well. But this idea that witches don't work with the devil, it's a very cliche thing to say, because you can't say that all witches don't worship the devil or work with the devil, because some do. And I do. I work with the devil and I call him devil, old master, old man in black, the initiator, the one that initiates witches, the one, the master of magic, the ruler of sorcery. He is my Lord. He represents to me freedom. He represents expression, sexual fantasy, temptation. He represents that wildness. He represents everything I am. He represents everything that I enjoy. And, this idea of the church very much said, no, you can't, sexual pleasures off limits, anything, drinking off limits, partying off limits, and and he represents the opposite of that. He is the Lord of Misrule. He turns backwards. He goes against the normal flow of day-to-day people in this world. He doesn't have any rules. It's unruled. It's an unruled divinity, an unruled character. Some people, some modern traditional witches will call him the master. Puck as well. Puck was given references to the devil. The Bucca or the Buka in Cornwall was given references, also crossovers with the devil. Same as Odin. There's a lot of crossovers with the Christian devil and the folkloric devil and pagan gods, and they do intertwine and cross over, much the same as Brede, who's St. Bride or St. Bridget. They have their crossovers too. So there's a lot of stuff within folklore that, really does talk about that and really does reference that. Have a look. And I think, at the moment I'm reading Gemma Gary's The Devil's Dozen, which has kind of inspired me to make this video. Also the fact that one of my friends on YouTube, Hey Stormy, showed me this thing where basically a witch was saying, the devil, real witches don't worship the devil, and so I wanted to do this video because I wanted to put a couple of things out there. There very much is this rehearsed script with a lot of neo-pagans, and it sucks, quite frankly. It's very uneducating, and people need to do more research on things, quite frankly. If you're going to make a statement, then back it up. Because once you approach these people that say that, they can't actually back it up. The devil lies within witchcraft throughout history. He is an integral part of European forms of witchcraft and falls in around the witch trials. You can't deny that. You can't sort of pick and choose what certain things witches used to do and then think, I'll just leave that bit out, and then claim to be a witch and that you're practicing how it was done. You can't pick and choose these things. To experience, there's actually in The Devil's Dozen, and I will do a book review, I promise, because it's an awesome book. But there is a rite in The Devil's Dozen that involves somebody staying out all night and basically giving in to nature. And I very much like that, because it is like that. If you want to go and experience the power of the devil, of Old Horny, the man in black, the initiator at the crossroads, go to a woodlands remote where there are no other people, go on your own and spend the whole night. Call him up and sit there and just listen, just be at one with nature, and you will be terrified, you will be absolutely frightened, and there will be that fear that will overtake you. And it will be to the point where you feel like you're going to cry, but you can't cry because of how scared you are. And then there gets to a point where you just give in. You give in to this otherworldness. You give in to this power, and you succumb to it. And it becomes enveloped. You take the blackness in. You take that otherworldly power within you, and you become part of that. And it's a beautiful thing. It's fucking terrifying. But it's a beautiful thing to experience that otherworldliness. So yes, real witches do work with the devil, and some even worship the devil. And, there is a lot of references in some forms of witchcraft, modern traditional witchcraft, of the idea of Azazel and of Lilith as well. And there's very much these Luciferian strands within modern styles of traditional witchcraft. There's also the idea of Cain, the first blacksmith, who was also the first murderer. And because he was the first blacksmith, a lot of people associate that with wizardry and witchcraft, because blacksmithery was associated with witchcraft and with wizardry. So yeah, there you go. There's my video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. And may the devil bless you.